And now here to shed more light on the issue is Gary Табах, retired U.S. Navy captain. Gary, so good to have you back on our show on Eastern Express.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you very much. It's always great to be on the TVP, and you're one of the few people that pronounce my rank and my name perfectly.
So glad to hear it. Gary, now, you have been one of our most vocal propellants of Donald Trump. So let me ask you a little bit. I'm going to ask you some challenging questions here. Now, first of all, Trump has called Zelensky a dictator without elections. But I mean, Ukraine is under martial law because of Russia's ongoing invasion. Now, let me ask you this. If the United States were the one to be invaded, would suspending elections under emergency powers make an American president a dictator?
Well, firstly, it's very sad that I was the only one proponent and defender of President Trump on TVP. I thought there would be a few more people, but it seems to me that I'm all like a lone soldier in a battle for that, because President Trump for over 8 years is being attacked unfairly and unjustly. And so I keep saying he didn't say that, or he didn't do that, or he didn't mean that. But yes, he called President Zelensky a dictator. That is correct. I think it doesn't matter what our law would be. The Ukrainian law says that under martial law, president remains a president until a new president comes forward. For example, during World War II in Great Britain, during the war, powers were changed. Chamberlain stepped down and the king asked Winston Churchill to step in and take over the country. Those things do happen in Israel. Israel under martial law, I think non-stop. They're at war constantly. Sometimes it's low intensity, sometimes it's high intensity, but the elections do happen. But all of it is, I think, irrelevant, because the Ukrainian law, as far as I know, and I'm not a constitutional lawyer, that says during the martial law or during a war, the president remains until a new one comes in. Even though,
Gary, I put you, just to challenge you here now, I did put you in that situation. That's why I specifically asked, if the U.S. were invaded, let's just picture that scenario, would then suspending elections, again, under that emergency power, make an American president a dictator? Because, I mean, this is what Trump did say about Volodymyr Zelensky.
Right.
So now, this is the question.
I can't answer that question, because I'm not a constitutional lawyer in the United States, and I've never asked that question. But what I'm trying to say is that President Trump has called other presidents' names, and he has, including Putin, including North Korean, including Iranians, and so forth, including our own presidents, former presidents, or the presidents that he had to deal with. President Trump has that tendency to do that. You have to understand the psychic of President Trump. You don't want to instigate that. You don't want to sabotage him. You don't want to provoke him to do those things, knowingly well how he reacts to those things. But it doesn't. I don't think he keeps it too long in him. And if things change, he'll change his statements from "that guy is a fat bomb boy" to "oh, he's a great guy," or vice versa, very quickly, depending on how the politics are going. But the thing is, you also have to understand there is a stigma with President Trump, because he has been unfairly blamed. There were investigations for congressional investigations into the collusion with Russia and with Putin, and all of it was disproved. So when you say that President Trump is repeating statements from Putin, from a dictator Putin, that will flip president.
Isn't he actually repeating Kremlin propaganda? Isn't he basing himself on the Russian narrative in this case? I mean, he said that Ukraine is the one that started the war, and let's be honest, that's not really what happened, Gary.
Well, the thing is, allow me to finish. And the thing is that this is something that President Trump will get upset when you try to say to him that he is working for Putin, or Putin has some kind of blackmail him, or he is repeating the rhetoric or the narrative that the Russians are putting out, he will answer, he will snap back at you, because this is what got him the impeachment for the first time. He was impeached over it, and it was unfair. It turned out to be not true. So why would you step on that banyan to flip him over? I don't understand. That's not good politics, especially knowing this man. And now he's the most powerful man and the most popular president the United States has ever had in the United States, with the citizens of the United States. Now, again, this is the thing. Show me, please, where he said that Ukraine started the war. You know, a lot of journalists are saying those things, but, you know, we will be speaking for a few more minutes. Maybe your people...
I'm going to interrupt you right there. There's something interesting that you said. You know, you're asking, where did he say this? I'm going to ask you this. Now, he did say throughout his campaign that he would be able to end this war in 24 hours. Now, I mean, if he did truly want to end this war, why hasn't he actually outlined a concrete peace plan instead of, you know, instead of just what we call it beyond vague claims that he will be able to finish this war in just 24 hours? Where was an actual draft of this peace plan compared to what we saw in Saudi Arabia?
Okay.
Of what took place in Saudi Arabia?
Okay, well, you have a lot of things saying. Firstly, again, I refer back. Where did he say that Zelensky started the war? He never said that. He said that the war would have never happened if he would have been a president. And it turned out to be that at that time, Zelensky didn't help him with the corruption of President Biden and his son in Ukraine.
Did he go to his Truth social media platform to say that, Gary?
No, he didn't. I don't know. I never heard of him saying that. You know, people write things up and stuff like this. But did he say that? Did he himself say that? Or somebody said that he said that? That is a big difference.
He wrote it on his platform.
And well, did he say that? Can you show a video where he's saying that? But let's go on with it. You're saying that throughout his campaign, he kept saying that he'll end the war in 24 hours. Dina, he said it once. He said once that I'll finish that war in 24 hours. And everybody grabbed onto it, and everybody's saying, oh, well, 24 hours passed by. There is such thing as a metaphor, and President Trump, again, speaks in metaphors all the time. We all do. And the president, you never had such rage with President Biden, who said that Putin will not remain in his chair or in his seat when President Biden becomes a president, and there'll be sanctions from hell. None of that happened. Putin's still a president, and Biden already is not a president. He never, you know, all those things that the politicians say, they're never really judged that harshly, because we know that they are politicians, except one. His name is Trump. Whatever, you know, he says once, it's grabbed on, and that's spinned out of control, and it doesn't do any good. And so he never said that Zelensky started the war. Yes, he did, him the dictator. But again, he was instigated. President Zelensky said some things that are not very nice towards President Trump. And they are in a different way categories.
Trump, though, however, we did see, again, coming out of those talks in Saudi Arabia, that Trump does seem eager to restore American-Russian relations. But now my question to you is, at what cost? Now, wouldn't forcing Ukraine in a bad peace deal actually just reward Putin for his aggression? I mean, let's also be reminded, I mean, in Saudi Arabia, there was not even a word talk about Russian war crimes that have been committed in the past. We're going into 3 years of a war in Ukraine now.
Well, again, the thing is, it was not negotiations. It was a consultations between the ministers of foreign affairs saying, what do we need to do to go forward? And it is not a rewarding Russia with anything. They decided that in order to go forward, they need to reestablish diplomatic relationships between Russia and United States. Otherwise, how do you negotiate? So do you want the ministers of foreign affairs right away accusing Russia of war crimes when they're trying to say, okay, we need to do something to stop this war, to stop this massive killing and destruction of a nation? Well, in order to do that, what do we need to do? This is just consultations. That's not negotiations, and it really had nothing to do with Ukraine. It had to do to reestablish a diplomatic relationship between Russia and the United States. Otherwise, what do you suggest to do? Continue to fight, maybe bring the United States into the fight, Poland into that fight, NATO. So they're trying to do it peacefully. So and President Trump is the only one that's trying to do that. Not the German leader, not the Polish leader, not the French leader, not the Canadian leader. Why don't you guys step up and take that spot and go and say, okay, we will handle it. And we will try to bring peace and stop this war. So all you do is criticize the only man who did not start this war, who did not have anything to do with it. And all it is criticized. Asking about his plan, he kept saying it, I do have a plan, but I'm not going to tell you. Throughout his entire campaign, he kept saying, I do have a plan, but I'm not going to tell you. Why would I open up my cards? Now, did President Zelensky told anybody about his plan? Did Poland or NATO or European Union have showed their plan? So the only person that has to have a plan and has to open it up to the whole world, including to Putin, is Trump. I don't think it's fair, to be honest.
How would you say weakening U.S. support for Kyiv actually serve American interests?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
How would you say that weakening U.S. support for Kyiv, for Ukraine, actually give into and serve American interests? I mean, Donald Trump has continuously said America first, but lately what we've been actually seeing, it doesn't really seem that way.
Well, I really don't, I can't connect because America first, America is first. He is American president. I'm very sorry, we don't have another president for you in the United States. We only have now a president that cares about America first of all, just like when you fly in the airplane. First, if there's something, first you put a mask on yourself, then you're helping other people. We have to save our economy. We have to save our country first. Our country is in a disaster. We're bankrupt. This is where you see all the money is, and then we will be able to help everybody. It is really sad. You have to also see how American people react to those things, constantly treating us that we're supposed to give money and help everyone else while you're kicking us and demanding more is not the way to do it. Of course, weakening, I don't know how you tied those two together, but anyway, I hope I understood right. But by saying it that weakening the relationship between the United States and the United States help for Ukraine, how does it benefit the United States? It doesn't benefit the United States. It doesn't benefit anybody but Putin and China. So I think that President Trump does not want to weaken our relationship. He wants to strengthen it, including because he has to show that he's a true leader now. And this is what he has to exercise leadership. What it would be helpful if European countries, and especially an old Europe, help us to do that. Instead of just, again, having another roundtable, we'll have a meeting in May. How do we respond to that? By May, Ukraine could be wiped off the face of the earth by Putin. So those things have to be take action now. I've been in Ukraine for like almost a month. I haven't slept one night because of bombardments. They haven't stopped. So for 3 years, what has Europe done? How did they participate in it? So now, when there's one man that stepped forward and say, listen, I want to handle this, I want to bring stop to it, I'm not going to tell you the plan, but help me. Instead, all he does is gets criticism and saying whatever he's doing is wrong. So why don't Europe take over? It is actually is happening. The war is happening in Europe. Have you start putting in your share into NATO? To those two, I mean, Poland is, excluding Poland and a few other countries. But other countries, especially old Europe, is not paying their share, expecting that Trump or United States, we will come and we will handle everything. And then you'll be able to yell, Yankee, go home. I don't think it's fair.
Thank you so much, Gary Tabach, retired U.S. Navy captain, for being with us here on Eastern Express. Thank you for all your insight.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting.